Welcome to Everyday Linux User. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Vim editor. Now on most distributions the default editor within the terminal is Nano, but there's lots of people out there who are keen Vim enthusiasts, and Vim is another command line editor. And some people swear by it as being the best thing, but I'm just going to give you a run through today of some of the simple commands and how you can use Vim to do editing. Now, Vim isn't installed by default on all distributions. So, for instance, if you're using Ubuntu or Xubuntu, in my case, so I have to install Vim. So I can do that by doing sudo apt install Vim. Obviously, this differs dependent on your distribution. So now that's installed, let's look at the files I've got. You can see I've got a file called test, and test with the tilde on the end. I've got a Python file, and these were all created when I did my tutorial about Nano. So let's start off by opening Vim with a file to edit. So we can do that just by typing Vim and the name of the file, and you can see that I'm now in the Vim editor. By default you are in the normal mode, so if I try to type, say if I put the, you see nothing's happening, except down here you see if I press R it'll put an R down there. That's because you start off in what's known as normal mode, so you're not actually able to insert text at this point in time, but you can execute commands. But obviously if you're starting for the first time you probably want to insert some text and do some editing, so we can do that by pressing the I key, and you'll see that down here it's gone into insert mode. So at the bottom of the file I'm just going to put this bit of text was added using Vim. To be able to save the changes you have to switch back to normal mode, and you do that by pressing escape, and as soon as you do that you can see that the insert mode's left. If I try and press the R key again it won't actually type the word R, it will just bring it in the corner there. Now to save the changes you have to press the colon key, so shift and colon on the keyboard, and then you can do write like that. And you can see down here it says test, 13 lines, 306 bytes written. And to exit the Vim editor it's the colon key again, and if I press Q for quit you can see I have now left the Vim editor. If I go back into Vim you can see that whilst I can use the cursor keys to move along, I can also use the H and L to go left and right, and I can use the J key to go down and the K key to go up. So that's another way of navigating Vim. To delete characters you use the X key, so if I wanted to delete characters on this line I can just press X. But if I wanted to delete the entire line I can do DD. If I want to delete 3 lines I can do D1, or I can do D2, or I can do delete 5, and everything has now gone. Now I've exited out and I'll go back in because I didn't want to lose any of my changes there. So obviously deleting lines is all well and good, but sometimes you want to copy lines. So if I want to move this line of text I can use YY. And P to paste. And I can do P to paste again, P to paste again, P to paste again. And you can see it's pasting lots of times. If I wanted to I could do Y3. And you can see it says 4 lines yanked at the bottom, even though I said Y3 because it's, and then I can do P and it will paste these 4 lines in. If I do Y2 it says 3 lines yanked, because it starts at a 0 base. If I want to search in Vim, I just use the / key and then you search for the text that you want to find. So for instance, in this case, nano, and you can see it's highlighted the word nano. And to find the next occurrence, I just press N and it will go through all the text and keep searching for nano. If it hits the bottom, I'll continue at the top and go around it again. To search and replace words in a file, for instance nano, I can go here and I can press Ctrl:/S and the / and then I type the word I want to find, which is nano, and you can see it's found it, it's highlighted it, and then type the word that I want to replace it with. If I just do that, it's going to just replace that word nano with Vim as follows, and it has, which isn't very useful. So, well, it can be useful if you just want to replace it on one line. So I'm going to exit out of there and I'm going to go back into insert mode and I'm going to type nano at the beginning here and I'm going to type nano at the end here. I'm going to exit out of insert mode and I'm going to nano Vim, and you can see it's only highlighted that one line, so it's only going to replace that word nano there with Vim. It's not going to take that one there and do that one. So if I put /G on the end, it will do both nanos in this line and replace it with Vim. You can see Vim in this video, we will be talking about Vim. So that's that done. And we can do it the opposite way around. And let's put them back again. Now if I want to do it, you'll see there's a nano on this line as well. If I want to do it for the whole file, what I have to do is Control %S and then type nano and the word I want to use and then the G, and that should do every instance of nano and replace it with Vim. And you can see it's done that. Vim, Vim, Vim. In Vim there's also the concept of a split screen, so we can do that. So if I do colon and split, you can see I've got some of my text at the top like this, and then I've got down here, if I want to go to the bottom window, because you can see I'm in the top window, I can press Ctrl and W and I can press Ctrl and J and that puts me down there. And then if I want to go back up to the other one, I can press Ctrl and W and Ctrl and K and that takes me to the top one. Now I can also do something called V-split, and that splits vertically. So now I've got 3 windows. Now obviously it gets a bit messy, so what we can do is Ctrl W and Q, Ctrl W and Q, and we're back to the first window again. So the last thing I want to talk about is macros. So if I type Vim and we aren't in input mode, so if I press Q and then a number or any other character on the keyboard, so Q, so you can see it says recording number 2 at the bottom here, and I can put in a template. So for instance, if I wanted to create a HTML template, I could do something like this. So you'll see that I'm typing out everything you need to create a basic web page. Okay, exit that now, and I'm going to quit out of the editor. So pressing Q exits recording mode. So if I quit out of the editor, and now I can go into Vim. So to replay the macro, I can press the @ symbol and then the number of the macro. So in this case 2, and you can see that it's pre-populated my HTML template. So I can now use that and create myself a web page and save it. You can see that said there's no file name, so what I can do is close, save as, and we call it my HTML. And you can see that's saved as my HTML.html. So now I can do quit. I do ls. You can see we've got a my HTML.html. And that's really all I wanted to cover in today's tutorial about Vim. It's a bit of a whirlwind and it gives you some flavour of how to use Vim for editing purposes. Now a lot of people will probably find Nano more straightforward than Vim, but Vim has more powerful features in the long term if you decide to go down that route, and many people have. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Linux User.